as you see, Will Craddock on the left, he's very disinterested in what's going on here. So these are two players, if you guys actually watch SCG live quite a bit, you're pretty familiar with. When I was in Dallas, Will Craddock, I was in Dallas doing coverage with OSIP for the first time. Will Craddock lost the finals of the Standard Open and then ran up the chain and won the Ladies Open Sneak and Show. Oops. He had an unbelievable weekend in Dallas. Was almost back-to-back champion, challenging Jerry Thompson for his crown. He got really close.
Lost the finals and then was like, oh man, losing sucks. I'm just not going to do that tomorrow.
Yeah, so he just didn't do that anymore. And so he won with Sneak and Show and Legacy against John Penick from Springfield, Missouri, who you guys clearly know, friends with Jerry.
Very quietly a master.
Very, very good musician. Doesn't play as much anymore. Just see him resolving the Augur of Bolus and missing as only he can. But we're going to have a blue-white-red Flash versus Naya matchup here. These players playing for top 8.
What type of Naya are we talking about? It's not Blitz.
It's definitely not Blitz. This is actually more of a reanimator deck.
This is a reanimator deck.
Yeah, we got some Grizzly Salvages, some Burial Rites, 3 Mulches, 3 Lingering Souls. So this might just be, yeah, this is a...
It's the deck.
Yeah, it's a Junk Reanimator.
Junk Reanimator.
Yeah, it's actually Junk Reanimator. Easy to kind of get confused, but yeah, it's Junk Reanimator, and he actually has a main deck Obsidian. He has like 2 Centaur Healers, 2 Arbor Elves, 2 Greater Earth Behemoths, 2 Lotless Trolls, you know, his little Unburial Rites package, all that stuff. So just a good card deck that actually has Unburial Rites. So this is, you know, a...
the deck we've been talking about pretty much all day.
Yeah, this is a deck that's obviously very popular in the format, has had a ton of success, actually won the MOCS too.
It's
not if you knew that.
Today?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not surprised.
Yeah.
And you say it's popular, but I am of the belief that it's not popular as it should, not as popular as it should be.
That's probably true.
It's the deck is much better than people give it credit for.
As we see, Craddock is resolving a Mulcher, 2 Restoration Angels, Navison's Pilgrim, and a Woodland Cemetery.
Which will go straight to the
cards. You see Penick has missed with his Augur of Bolas, has resolved a Boros Reckoner to kind of hold down the fort here, and you're going to see Craddock flash back that Lingering Souls and come across for 2, getting the 2 more Spirit tokens out. So he's off to a pretty good start here. You know, Penick isn't doing bad. You know, he does have you know, his mana online, a 2-drop and a 3-drop, but he needs to get some things started here pretty quickly.
Well, John's deck differs from some of the, again, we call it Flash, but it's not really Flash anymore. Decks by having 2 Wrath effects main with a Supreme Verdict and a Blasphemous Act. The Blast Act to go with the Boros Reckoner in addition to the Harvest Pyre. So, as we were talking before, 2 of that effect, but you know, you can only have 1 Harvest Pyre. That deck building theory going into this build, which has obviously served him well at X and 1, 8 and 1. Yeah, it's not a bad record.
And you see Penick's Mountain is working overtime, making those clifftop retreats and those Sulfur Falls come into play on tap.
So important.
Yeah, absolutely important to make sure those lands do come into play on tap. But with Sacred Foundry coming in, there are more ways to do that from Gate Crash. But Penick now is in the sweet spot for his deck. You see Will play an Overgrown Tomb where he has the 4 mana available to bluff many different things, but Will doesn't really care too much, as he's going to cast an Obsidian Ghost Council through that Cavern of Souls, which is on Spirit.
Huh.
So there will be no countering that, and we've got some Lingering Souls tokens coming across now.
Well, John does look a little flooded. He's got an Azorius Charm, so he's got some redraws. He is drawing to 2 Wraths, if that's indeed what he's going for. But is it Charm some more redraws? But Obsidian doesn't really care about Wrath effects.
No, it doesn't.
You gotta kill that one in very specific ways.
As long as Craddock does remove that, and he already has moved it onto the tape, so you can see that's out of play and waiting to come back next turn. Basically, so you have to take care of this stuff, and then you're going to have to take care of Obsidian, and Penick is going to draw 2 and discard 2 with the Izzet Charm. You see a Boros Reckoner and a Ghost Quarter, the cards that he draws there, so doesn't find anything useful. And he's being attacked from, you know, even though it is creatures, AJ, multiple different angles right now.
Yeah. The Obsidian, you know, doesn't need combat to deal damage and is wrath-proof. Then Lingering Souls, count like 4 creatures for the cost of 1 card. What are you going to do, Searing Spear them all down?
Yeah.
And they all fly, you know, Reckoner and Augur not playing defense very well at all here. So quite an offense.
So you're going to see Penick, play that Ghost Quarter. Does only have 1 source of white mana currently. And Ghost Quarter does not really shine too much in this matchup. It can blow up a Cavern of Souls, but I think Cavern's already done its dirty work right now.
For sure.
And you're going to see Penick kind of deciding what he wants to do. Was considering attacking with the Augur of Bolas, but you're just going to see a Boros Reckoner come across, it looks like. And you do.
The Augur probably resigned to chump duty here on the Obsidian. Ooh, chump plus blink, Penick does have an Angel.
And you just see Restoration Angel in John's hand, ready at a moment's notice. Obsidat's going to come back into play.
Drain you.
A gain 2 and a drain 2 here by that big boy. And we'll see how Penick is going to use that Restoration Angel. Does he want to block with Augur of Bolas and then flash it? Does he want to actually blink the Boros Reckoner so that can be another blocker? As we're going to see a Thragtusk right away here from Craddock.
Haymakers.
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
That's what the format's all about. Penick can't really race against that. You saw them in the attacks with the Reckoner trying to kind of consider racing a little bit. Hard enough to race an Obsidat, but now a Thragtusk too.
Yeah. 2 a turn was tough, but 5 more, plus the extra creature. Well, here's, without the Obsidat attacking, the decision was made for him. Ooh, there's a Supreme Verdict. He will need a little more than that. He's short the white source, and needs to deal with a 3/3 and an Obsidat after that. So
other than that, he's good.
Yeah, definitely not even close to out of the woods yet, but it is the first step in the right direction, I will say that.
And if things actually do come down to it, I'm checking his deck to see if he has a basic planes in there, and actually he doesn't, so he can't actually go score himself to fix his mana to cast.
And sure enough, he decides the Wrath, hoping to draw white and ways to deal with all those cards, is pretty unrealistic. He's just going to take the spear, and I don't know, what do you think his game plan is here? Find Blasphemous Act?
I think
combo kill him?
I think that's one of the big steps right now. As you see, John does draw a Thought Scour. He also has Snapcaster Mage in his hand, so maybe he can turn it over that way. And he is going to start his turn off by Thought Scouring himself, it looks like. As he's reaching for that Sulfur Falls. I think the one Blasphemous Act, a card that we've talked about a little bit today, is a card that can actually save him. You see a Searing Spear and a Mystery card, and a Thought Scour is drawn.
Well, we're getting to the point where, you know, you can also start drawing to Harvest Pyre and just combo kill that way.
Yep.
Or both. Why not both?
Yeah, he's got to do a nice job of like using his life total and trying to get through as many cards as he possibly can. As you see Obsidat come back here, and you guys don't see Will Craddock attacking with that Obsidat, which I actually like. He's dodging. He's basically playing around Azorius Charm on that, which would be a major annoyance when he has no reason to attack with it and run into that.
Yeah, he'll just take the Boros Reckoner. So the Obsidat staying out of charm range, doesn't want to get, you know, double blocked or anything. Just drain 2 every turn. Totally legitimate.
And we are shortcutting on saying, you know, Harvest Pyre being a kill. For those of you guys who don't know the combo at home, of course, Harvest Pyre removing a ton of cards from the graveyard, targeting the Boros Reckoner. Boros Reckoner gets super mad when it gets hit by anything, and it never, you know, hits the owner of the spell. It just decides it's always going to be the opponent. So the Harvest Pyre Boros Reckoner combo kill will deal Will a whole bunch of damage if John can get to it. The question is can he actually get there, because he is underneath a lot of pressure right now.
Yes.
And Will is, you know, trying to figure out his best lines of play for these attacks here, and I think
Boros Reckoner doing its duty of holding off that Thragtusk as well.
And that Ghost Consoles.
Yeah.
You know, it's stopping those big hitters and making it just so that Lingering Souls can come across, and you can see that Will is playing just super cautious.
Yeah.
And now you have an Unburial Rites.
Unburial Rites.
And what kind of juicy thing is he going to target here? It's going to be Restoration Angel. And we're going to see if that's going to blink out Obsidat or if that's going to blink out Thragtusk.
So we're going to start with a Thought Scour and reevaluate.
Thought Scour turns over a Thought Scour and a Hollow Fountain, draws John a Sacred Foundry.
Sure enough, Obsidat representing lethal next turn.
Yep, and I like this play yet again.
Yep.
It's very easy there to blink a Thragtusk, but Thragtusk doesn't have a huge effect on this game, and he is sitting pretty at 19 life. Draw step is a Searing Spear.
And he can...
Yep, and he's going to pack it in.
Like, there's potential to do things like Snapcaster, an Azorius Charm, and Lifelink, and try and get out of it, but just coming up short.
Yeah, he can tell his back is just firmly against the wall, and there's no getting out of that situation there. Tried his best to draw to that one Blasphemous Act that is in his main deck, but wasn't able to find it, and the game will go to Craddock with Junk Reanimator. Now, you obviously have Penick deck list in front of you. You are a blue-white-red magician after all. What to do against the boogeyman of the format currently in Junk Reanimator?
Well, he's got a couple dissipates, which are obviously quite good. And I mean, Jace, theoretically good, but not actually that great.
Yeah. In theory, you would probably want this card here, but in reality, it probably doesn't play out that way.
Unless you have one of your 3 Rest in Peace.
Which is a good card to have in the sideboard.
Yes. John Penick, one of the people that I talked to before the tournament, who, you know, as I said, I just go around, and the first question I asked everybody was, how many pieces of graveyard hate do you have in your yard? And all 4 people that I asked said 3. John was one of them, and here we are. 3 Rest in Peace.
And I'm perfectly okay with, you know, I typically think that with how big Junk Reanimator is right now, you probably want in between 4 to 5 pieces in your deck. But with a deck like John's, where you do have Thought Scours and I'm not sure if he has Think Twice in his deck. He has one
Uno,
copy.
yeah.
But you're able to increase the velocity in your deck and actually get through your cards. I'm okay with having 3 Rest in Peace because it is the end-all be-all as far as cards are concerned, and he can actually find it.
And you're not all in on it. Like, you have Dissipate for Unburial Rights or what have you. Like, you don't need the Rest in Peace to win. It just makes it a lot easier because then you don't have to, like, your Dissipates are no longer on Unburial Watch, you know? Like, they are allowed to target Thrag Tusks now or what have you. And that's a pretty big game when, you know, you only have so many counters and they have so many threats.
Now, one thing to look at when you're looking at Will's deck, and certainly his sideboard as well, you know, you're going to find 4 copies of Deathrite Shaman, which are primarily for the mirror, of course. 3 Acidic Slimes, which can take care of those Rest in Peace and maybe mess up John's mana. John did have mana problems that game. Not sure if he wants to go that route or not. He also has an additional Obsidian, which is certainly going to come in. But one thing I look for in these matchups when you're playing Blue Red Flash is the number of Cavernous Souls that someone has access to. Will has one in his main deck that he did draw that game to force Obsidian through, which was key in winning that game. But he also has an additional one in his sideboard, which you can expect to come in probably for this. It's hard to say. I mean, I could see him boarding it in for the Gavany Township, but you could also see him leaving the Township in because he has 3 Lingering Souls too. So.
Yeah, I definitely think that he's either adding a land or just cutting a colored source.
Sure.
I also see Abrupt Decay in his sideboard.
Yep.
Those have to be coming in against the Boros Reckoners and the Rest in Pieces.
The Rest in Peace, sure.
So how are you changing your deck? Like, I know a lot of people like to take out some of the graveyard enablers, such as Mulch and Grizzly Salvage, to sort of hedge against Rest in Peace, and instead of, because you're no longer searching for Thrag Tusks, you're searching for Abrupt Decays and you know, Cavern of Souls,
potentially
and,
Acidic Slime.
Yeah, exactly. You know, your game plan has to change a lot when you're not given free reign over the graveyard. And those cards are pretty much only good when you have free reign over your graveyard.
I think the first one to cut, you know, since you don't have free reign over your graveyard, is Crater of Behemoth. I think those are the first ones to go. I think the Crater of Behemoth is a fantastic Game 1 card. Lets you steal wins, lets you kill your opponent very, very quickly, that sort of thing with Unburial Rights, but I don't think that that's a sideboard card that's kind of grinded out matchup. Yeah. So I think that's probably the first one to go. And then you have the 2 copies of Centaur Healer as well. And while Will does want to keep his life total relatively high, just because of the combos that are, you know, available with Boros Reckoner, be it Blasphemous Act or be it with Harvest Pyre, I just think that's probably his next worst card.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't match up well against the Reckoner or the Angel, and isn't really that much of a threat. You don't get value out of it if John Azorius charms it to the top. You know, you're bricking a draw. Yeah, I can't really say that it's like a must cut, but it just seems, you know, low enough quality that I would definitely consider bringing it out.
You know, Angel of Serenity certainly isn't exciting in this matchup, but one thing I think people don't, you know, kind of underestimate about the Blue-White-Red Flash deck is that it does actually do a pretty nice job of kind of gumming things up with its creatures. We saw Boros Reckoner just be awesome that game and stopping a Thrat Tusk and an Obsidian because, you know, Will didn't want to get domed for 5.
Right.
And they also have, you know, Augur of Bola, Snapcaster can go off the ground a little bit. Restoration Angel can kind of be an annoyance in the air. So, you know, Angel of Serenity isn't a fantastic card in this matchup, but it can do a little bit of work of just clearing the path to be able to get those last few points of damage through. So, You know, Will does have 3 in his main deck. Maybe he wants to chop one of those, move down to 2, so he doesn't get gummed up with those, because he's not really going to be able to
it's a late game draw instead of a combo card.
Yes. So I think that he definitely wants access to a couple of those in his deck, but having the full 3, and I think we can both agree that the Unburial Rights game plan isn't, 100% all systems go like it was before.
Right.
We do see both players taking a look at their 7 cards here. John Penick on the right will be on the play, and you do see a Rest in Peace in his hand already.
An uncastable Rest in Peace, it looks like, though.
Not sure what kind of mana source he has. You see a Steam Vents
and a Ghost
Quarter. So those are kind of exciting. You see the Dissipate, Sphinx's Revelation. It's like 2 Dissipates.
Yeah,
there,
Dissipate, a red card, maybe a Harvest Pyre, and a Sphinx's Revelation. John, a very disciplined mulliganer.
Yeah.
Actually, during my break, what else would I do during my break from commentating and watching Magic? I went and watched Magic.
Yep. Classic. Can't get enough.
I watched John play, and it was a pretty intense game 3 hand against blue-white, like Geist of St. Traft, Runechanter's Pike, Moorland Haunt style Flash, like old school Flash.
Okay.
And his opener was lands and spells, but it couldn't possibly win.
Sure.
And John had already mulled the 5 and lost the game in that matchup. So I was a little scared for him that, he was going to make an emotional decision there and keep the loose one and hope to get there. But no, he made the disciplined mulligan, ends up going to 5 again, but pulls it out. And I can't imagine that he would have won that game with this 7-carder.
Easy to keep 7 cards there.
Yeah.
Very easy to do. You do see Will also to take a mulligan. So both players will be starting, hopefully, with 6 cards here in this second game.
I kind of hope they mold to 2, and we just see...
Just off the top.
Yeah.
Because that's how the game was meant to be played.
Sometimes it feels like it is.
And it looks like, I think we're going to see both players keep, as John does have a decent amount of lands here. He's going to start off with a Hallowed Fountain. Will is going to start off with a Woodland Cemetery, and we are underway here in game number 2. Jake's Memory Adepts, a card that you were wondering if he was going to bring in. He did elect to bring in.
I like it.
With Rest in Peace in your deck, you can make it so that it's not so punishing.
Yep. To
mill them, and now you're going to see Avison's Pilgrim from Craddock, and he will pass the turn back.
The Scars duels are what duels are those? The M10-ish duels?
Yeah, I call them the M duels.
Yeah, those are quite awkward when, you have like a mana guy that you're trying to accelerate, but then you have to play turn 2, and I don't know, it hurts. It's bad.
There's a think twice from John. He will get a new card, see if Craddock has a Restoration Angel. Looks like he doesn't. John going to take a draw step, draws. Clifftop Retreat, Sulphur Falls for the past 2 draw steps.
It's possible that he does have the Angel and didn't want to run it into a Supreme Verdict there, along with the Pilgrim, and that was the case.
Yes, he's perfectly fine with getting this countered as well.
Yeah.
Depending on the rest of the
He has much higher impact cards, such as Thragtusk. The rest of his cards are like almost 2-for-1s once they resolve, whereas Angel is just like a guy. It's like an efficient creature,
So you're going to see Restoration Angel come across here. See if Craddock has a 4th land, and he does. It's a Sun Petal Grove, so all those lands come into play tap, but he will pass the turn back, electing not to attack with the Avison's Pilgrim because he doesn't want to run that into a Restoration Angel.
Conservative and smart. John, no play on the end of Will's turn. Takes the turn back, 5th land, and it looks like he has a Reckoner and a Wrath. A Supreme Verdict, excuse me. And there it is.
Looks like we don't see Craddock float any mana from the Supreme Verdict, so no Restoration Angel to come down after that. And we see a Woodland Cemetery, and just passes the turn back, so Thragtusk will not be on time here for Craddock if he did have it. Penick draws a Snapcaster Mage for the turn. And you see Jace Memory.
Jace on an empty board. Explain it, Cedric. Why is that good?
That might be where you want to be. This is the quote-unquote driver's seat here. Penick, we'll see if he's going to start with milling or if he's going to draw. So he's going to mill himself.
You have to draw. I was about to say, you have to draw at least until you hit the Rest in Peace and first card right off the top, like clockwork.
So he targets himself. He draws a Rest in Peace. He mills a Boros Reckoner, and now he's going to start daring Craddock to do something impressive. And Craddock is up for the challenge.
Yeah, Obsidian. Pretty good threat. I mean...
Ooh. And he leaves it in play.
What?
Now that's a little bit interesting. I did not expect to see that. Now, you know, maybe his line of thought here is that, you know, they don't play a lot of Supreme Verdicts. He's already cast one, but again, I would probably want my Obsidian gone away from this scenario.
Is there? Oh, it looks like he was just lamenting. I don't think that there's any advantage to leaving it in play, is there? I think that was just an oversight.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure that there
and
is
it looks like John's shrugging and wrathing.
Yeah,
like,
and I think Will may have realized his error there.
Yeah.
Looks a little bit frustrated
Yeah,
from the hand
look at
motions.
those hand motions. Yeah.
That's the facial expression of an unhappy man. Yep, Supreme Verdict's going to take care of that.
John got to be pretty happy with that exchange. Not often you get to wrath an Obsidian.
Now, of course, the interesting thing that's going to start happening here too, AJ, is, you know, he has a Snapcaster Mage in his hand. He obviously wants to get value from that instead of having it just be an Ambush Viper. You know, does he want to fire away with the rest of the piece now, start milling? You know, what is
that also a Think Twice in his yard?
Yeah, he has a Think Twice in his yard.
He's giving up so much value. Well, it looks like he's milling 10, which is an indicator that he is going to rest in peace.
That's what it feels like to me.
And there it is.
And there's Rest in Peace. So those are going to go bye-bye. Think Twice is going to go bye-bye. And now Snapcaster's just going to have to be a 2-1 flash. And we're going to play a little game of Protect the Jace memory. That's what it looks like to me. Hold strong, Jace.
Kick the can, and he's the defender.
There's an Angel
Vanilla 5-6.
Yeah. Yeah. So Penick will draw a card. Penick draws. We know, again, he does have... That's a Glacial Fortress. Boros Reckoner.
He actually is going to have to draw here.
Yep.
Draw Milieu.
Draws. Hallowed Fountain.
Land, not too good.
And this was kind of the risk.
Well, I mean, all of the lands that Will had played up to that point were untapped, or were tapped lands,
yep.
right? And really the only big scary thing that Will could have had there is untapped 7th land Angel, right? Like a Thragtusk, your Boros Reckoner answers pretty cleanly. Any other ground guy, you know, you can chump or trade your Reckoner, and that's enough time. You know, you only need a couple turns. 10 cards is a lot. Yeah. It's a high percentage of your library.
So now you're going to see Angel Serenity coming across. We'll see if it's attacking Jason or John.
Well, he marked his pen and the die hasn't moved, so it looks like he's going for the throat here.
3, 4, and 5. Creator of Behemoth still in the deck. You see Abrupt Decay as well. Behemoth is going to be the card that Will elects to take, and you know that was a card that I would have considered sideboarding out here, but it's actually looking pretty darn good now.
Yeah.
John's going to take a draw step. John runs into, looks like another land there. So now Jace is going to mill Craddock.
Again.
John's going to draw a card. He finds
Revelation.
Sphinx's Revelation.
That is a nice draw.
Now some people would say that that is a good Magic card. And here comes the Boros Reckoner.
Those people lack imagination, Cedric.
Fear not. Boros Reckoner coming in. You see Craddock counting his library a little bit here. And, you know...
I mean, Jace's ultimate range.
Yeah, and we're going to bring Jace up on the screen for you guys so you can't actually see the ultimate of this card because I got hit by it once.
It is not fun. Well, you think that drawing 20 cards would be fun.
Yeah, you would think that. You would think that draw 20 is not a big deal.
It is often not. Wow, Cavern there for the Craterhoof Behemoth to force that through.
And, you know, Will is probably feeling like he's in the driver's seat right now.
I mean, I don't think he feels he's in the driver's seat as much as he's hoping that this is lethal.
Yeah, he really is hoping that this is lethal here. As you see Crater of Behemoth be put on the stack, Beast for the Cavern coming through, and it looks like he's probably just attacking John, and John
hoping
is
it's lethal.
Yeah, hoping it's lethal, and John drew the Sphinx's Revelation, so he's going to gain 6, draw 6, negate some of this damage.
He's taking 14. The thinnest of margins.
Yeah.
At 2 lives.
Hanging steady.
2 HP, 2 hit points left.
And we'll see if the draw 20 is going to be enough. He draws a card. Draws a Glacial Fortress. So John's going to go through the contents of his hand. Does he need to find a Supreme Verdict? He has another Sphinx Revelation, and you see it dissipate. You see a Boros Reckoner. Thought Scours to start the turn.
Thought Scour U is a good way to start when you're trying to deck them.
Yeah, it's not so bad. And you see Will is going to count the cards in his deck, and hopefully we can get an amount from our spotter at the table. See exactly how many cards are there.
24-ish?
You got a better eye than me, Sniper.
I wasn't watching the whole time, but at the end, he like pulled 4 cards at the end. So I have to assume that that's what it was.
So John, that's
Let's each draw 20, and then Jace like play another Jace, I guess, or at least combo kill.
There are 2 Jaces in Penick's sideboard.
I mean, he's drawing a Jace or Blast Act or Verdict or, you know.
Sure, he's drawing to a ton of
more
cards.
Thought Scours.
Yeah, he's drawing to a ton of cards now. There's a Thought Scour. You see him pulling those Thought Scours forward. I found a couple.
And that's 4.
See ya.
It was 24.
Yeah.
See, you don't have to count them yourself. You just got to use a little deductive logic.
Yeah.
Read the player, Cedric. Read the player.
And you can see that Craddock is a little bit upset with how that game went. I think that stems back from the mistake with the Obsidian.
Yep.
You know, I think he wins that game. You know, obviously, Penick is at 2 life at the end of the game. Game plays a little bit differently. You know, maybe John doesn't pull the trigger on the rest in peace right away, what have you. But having that Obsidian stay there is something that I think Craddock is going to beat himself up over.
It's super unintuitive, right? Like, you play your creature, and you play creatures to have them in play.
Yeah.
Right? But you're tapping out for it, and it's just so easy to go tap out from a creature, go.
Yeah.
But like you're playing the creature to get it in play, but it immediately leaves.
Yeah, and you want it to immediately leave.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
That is the good part of the card, is that it immediately leaves.
Yeah. Woo! There's a ghost in the booth. There's a ghost in the booth.
Haunted.
There's a ghost in the booth. Get him out of here. Here, Sneezies, get him out of here. So we're gonna move on to a game 3 here between two of the best players in the room, honestly.
For sure. Yeah. Let's not mince words here.
Yeah. John Penick, Will Craddock, a fantastic match to have for round 10. These players.
This is a good finals.
Yeah. This would be a good finals of this tournament, absolutely. But we have these players battling it out to make the top 8 of this
At
tournament.
X1 playing for top 8.
Yeah. Very impressive stuff here. Now, Craddock will be on the play this game. And some of the cards that you did see him leave in and bring in. You saw Crater of Behemoth still in the deck. You saw Abrupt Decay still in the deck. Or, excuse me, brought in from the deck. We haven't seen Acidic Slime yet. We're not sure if the Deathrite Shamans came in or not. You can assume the other Obsidian came in. You can assume that additional Cavern of Souls came in. A little bit more difficult to figure out what he did sideboard out, but probably a Burial Rites, some number of them.
Yeah. He did go through quite a bit of his deck. We saw a couple of salvages, but I don't think we saw any mulches.
Did not see a mulch. We did see 2 Grizzly. We saw 2 Grizzly salvages and no mulches, from what I remember.
So that could have been, you know, some Unburial Rites and some mulches. Bring in, I mean, if the slimes weren't in, they probably are now.
Yeah.
And if all the Abrupt Decays weren't in, which I have to assume they were, then they definitely are now.
Yeah, I agree. The tip off of Rest in Peace, you got to bring in, and he's got 6 cards, 3 Abrupt Decays, 3 Acidic Slimes. He's got to bring in to be able to battle through that. I'd like to think.
Yeah.
He can't just play a normal game, but at the same time, he probably just wants to hedge his bets. And you do see both players have kept 7 cards. Will has started off with an Overgrown Tomb into a Godless Shrine in passing.
No accelerants.
No accelerants, no Grizzly Salvage, no mulch. And you see John's hand.
A little spell heavy, but not the worst place to be.
You see a Sacred Foundry in passing. Both players look like they have kept reasonable 7-card hands. And we'll see if Will has a Lingering Souls or anything to do this turn. 2 mana, Lotless Troll.
Oh, leave up regeneration. I see.
That'll let him dodge Searing Spears and everything else there.
You know it's pretty good against Lotleth Troll?
An Angry Moo Cow.
Yeah. Angry Moo Cow.
Well, that was his name in design.
Oh.
And R&D.
Oh, you have an insider tip on
Yeah.
that. Angry Moo Cow, Gui.
They decided to change the name to Boros Reckoner for flavor reasons.
Ugh, flavor, ruining the game.
Yeah.
Did you hear me and Glenn arguing about Olivia?
I missed that.
Okay, we'll talk about it later.
All right. Glenn arguing with someone? I can't believe it.
I'm definitely still curious as to what the Twitterverse had to say. I have not been able to check yet.
Well, here comes Lotless Troll. No fear, no fear.
Aggressive. Very aggressive.
You can't live life scared.
John, shrug take?
Yeah. I mean, no blocks. Is it just going to be 2? Looks like it's just going to be 2, and we'll just pass the turn
Yeah,
back.
I mean, you can't all in into Azoria's Charm. That might have actually been a sick bluff to sneak into.
Yeah. Representing Restoration Angel now, Will, is John's draw step for the turn was a Rest in Peace. You see him play a Clifftop Retreat here, and now we're going to have a little game of representation, and we are going to see a Restoration Angel. Is this worth dissipating? Penick decides that it is not.
It's the same as last game, you know. Angel, while a good card, once it's already in play, it's not actually that good. The Dissipate is for the things that are only good once they're already in play, such as Thrag Tusk and, say, Crater Hoof Behemoth.
Well, you know, it just kind of begs the question on when do you pull the trigger on this dissipate, because you know that Will has Cavern Souls. You know, we have.
Ooh, speaking of which,
we have the privilege of knowing that Will boards up to 2 Cavern Souls, where John does not know that, and you're going to see Thragtusk come through.
I think the cavern named Octopus there, so
Interesting.
John could dissipate. He chooses not to.
That's not.
I'm getting word that is not the case.
Oh, okay.
I must be mistaken. I'm sorry. It is indeed naming Beast and another Rest in Peace. See, the Rest in Pieces when Will has a normal draw is not the best, but a Supreme Verdict, not the worst answer here. You know, 2 for 2.5 yourself, sort of.
Yeah, it's certainly not terrible. You know, we'll take care of the lot literal. We'll take care of the Restoration Angel on the front half of that Thragtusk, leaving Will with just a 3/3 Beast afterward. And it looks like John is going to cash this in here.
Don't think you have much choice with the lot left troll regeneration looming.
Ooh, you see Will discards Angel Serenity to lot left troll. Does this mean that
is
he has
the Unburial rights? Oh, look at John.
Yeah, I don't know if you can feel good about this.
Hands on head, you know what that means.
Craddock draws a card, in for 3. He was very, very quick to discard that Angel Serenity. It makes me believe.
But Cedric, why would he give his creature +1/+1 when it's just gonna die?
It makes me believe he has an Unburial rights.
Oh, it all makes sense.
Angel Serenity is back.
Just target my dudes.
It takes care of his 3 dudes, his Restoration Angel, his Thragtusk, his lot left troll, and Penick. If he had,
I believe that's what we call value.
Yep. You see him draw these Steam Vents for the turn.
Well, that turn that he passed didn't dissipate Angel, and then took the turn back.
Hey, he took a turn off.
We saw John play a match earlier today, and he played equally as conservatively with his dissipates, and was punished against John. You know, John, as I was saying, very disciplined player, but sometimes you just got to be a little aggressive.
Yeah.
You know, you just got to kind of cross your fingers and hope it works out.
Because now you see the world of trouble he's in, and he realizes it too.
Yeah.
That if I need to deal with this Angel Serenity, and if I deal with that, I got to deal with what's coming after it, and that's not going to be easy.
No.
And you can see the contents of his hand: 2 Rest in Peace, a couple copies of Dissipate, another Reckoner, a Sphinx's Revelation.
That is definitely a Sphinx's Revelation for 2 coming up.
That's nobody's friend. That's what I call that.
What?
Sphinx's Revelation for 2?
Yeah.
That's no one's friend. That's
no one likes that.
No. No one likes 5-mana divinations. As you see an overgrown tomb here from Will after his attack. But John has to do this. And you're going to see an Arbor Elf. So Will just
Will
just puts everything on the table.
If he gets Wrath, he gets so much back.
He gets 3 guys back. Who cares?
Yeah.
Rev for 2 by John.
Lands.
Takes a draw step. Boros Reckoner.
A handful of Rest in Pieces and Reckoners. And dissipates.
And an extension of the hand. Will Craddock will be playing in the top 8 today.
Will be playing in the top 8.
I see what you did.
I'm sorry.